The death of mass media. When trust becomes the world's most expensive asset, 2026 edition. In a world drowning in information to the point of intellectual pollution, we are entering an era where mass media, the traditional institutions focused on mass-producing content, is facing a structural demise. Global statistics indicate that the ecosystem of human perception is being dismantled and rebuilt upon a foundation known as high-trust assets. According to the 2025 to 2026 Edelman Trust Barometer, the global trust index for traditional media has plummeted to a critical level of distrust, below 50%, in over 20 major powers. Most notably, the demographic driving the future economy is choosing to receive information from independent thinkers or niche subject matter experts rather than world-renowned media institutions. The loss of empirical neutrality and the interference by conglomerates in the name of survival have accelerated an institutional decay in the eyes of the global population that is now irreversible. From the perspective of the general public, media consumption habits have shifted from mere consumption to vigilant filtering. Statistics from the Reuters Institute reveal that over 45% of people worldwide admit to news avoidance, the intentional evasion of mainstream news due to exhaustion from relentlessly negative and divisive content. Citizens in 2026 no longer view the mass media as a mirror reflecting reality, but rather as a communication tool for power structures. This has resulted in a fragmented consumption pattern where people turn to individuals they personally trust within semi-closed spaces, such as private chat groups or specialized communities free from the pollution of advertising and algorithmic manipulation. They are choosing to invest their money and time in filters they trust, rather than consuming free content that comes at the cost of being manipulated. The primary force behind the collapse of traditional media is the sophisticated strategy of big tech companies. These giants have successfully persuaded media outlets and content creators to work for them without big tech ever having to pay a single cent in labor costs. The strategy involves creating a statistical golden cage by offering rewards in the form of reach and priority. Big tech intentionally distorts revenue structures by prioritizing content that triggers intense emotions or is brief and bite-sized, thereby forcing mainstream media and creators to degrade their deep-dive analytical work into high-volume repetitive output to feed the algorithm. This use of intermittent variable rewards has turned media into digital slaves who must accelerate production just to claim a fraction of the advertising revenue that big tech holds absolute power over. This mechanism has allowed big tech to become the owner of the world's largest information factory, with global media serving as production line workers who possess neither benefits nor bargaining power. When considering the media food chain 2026, we see a clear hierarchy of power. At the apex are the big tech platforms, serving as the landowners and rule makers. Below them are AI content farms and traditional media, acting as the lower-tier labor force, churning out vast amounts of raw data to feed the algorithm in exchange for crumbs of attention. Meanwhile, high-trust micro-authorities, high-level independent analysts, have begun to detach themselves from this chain to create their own ecosystems. An analysis of this diagram reveals that mainstream media is being demoted from social agenda setters to mere bot feeders, while true wealth and influence are being transferred only to those who own the algorithm and those who own direct trust from human beings. This represents the most severe polarization between quantity-driven and quality-driven media in history. The most concerning strategic crisis is the possibility that distorted thought could rule the world. Should a conglomerate or a powerful entity decide to purchase these platforms to use as a weaponization of platform, the consequences would be dire. When the owner of an algorithm can slightly adjust visibility parameters to deflect public discourse in favor of one party and to the detriment of another in the blink of an eye, digital justice collapses. In a world where most people still consume media through an algorithmic feed, the algorithm acts as an invisible judge of truth. If a platform is compromised, the ideas that will dominate the world are not the most accurate ones, but those that have the most access to the central resource. This leads to a state of digital authoritarianism, invisible to the naked eye, yet profoundly impacting human decision-making at a subconscious level, without the victims ever realizing they are being systematically steered. In the midst of this information warfare, the most vital task is preparing the younger generation to navigate this landscape with awareness. Advising children on media consumption in 2026 is not about ordering them to stop using social media, but about building active questioning skills. Parents and teachers must train children to see the story behind the image by asking, "Who is paying for this information to reach you?" Or, "Is this news trying to make you feel angry or afraid so that you'll hit share?" Teaching children about the mechanics of algorithms and big tech psychology will give them the mindfulness needed for healthy consumption. Furthermore, encouraging them to follow individuals with genuine expertise rather than just following trends will instill a habit of seeking credibility over fleeting entertainment. The new generation must be taught that privacy and focus are the most precious resources that old-world media is constantly trying to steal from them. The definition of media has also fundamentally changed. Previously, the term was monopolized by institutions or news agencies with complex structures. Today, individuals have become powerful media entities capable of performing the same functions as large editorial boards on their own. However, this transition comes with a severe ethical crisis, as the criteria for verifying the value of these media entities are no longer based on the accuracy of content, but rather on the ability to generate revenue and attract attention. If an individual can convert public attention into currency, the digital ecosystem praises them as a successful medium, regardless of whether that database was built on distortion or the incitement of hatred. This mechanism has dismantled traditional fact-checking systems and replaced them with financial viability. Coping with this intellectual catastrophe does not lie solely in passing laws to control platforms, but in building strategic immunity within the individual. The current adaptation of media worldwide is beginning to focus on subscription models and direct connection through channels that platforms cannot algorithmically interfere with, such as personal newsletters or closed communities. Wise global media are shifting their roles from being news distributors to high-quality content curators who prioritize collaboration with analysts possessing human experience, offering perspectives that AI or algorithms cannot replicate. In 2026, creating a strategic advantage lies in being as platform independent as possible to preserve the purity of the truth. The conclusion of this era is that basic knowledge is becoming worthless because it is easily replaced by AI and big tech manipulation. However, credibility proven through experience and human analysis will become the most expensive asset. The leaders of the new world will be those who dare to step out of the cycle of information replication and turn toward creating intellectual work that bears a human intellectual fingerprint, one that is too complex and precise for automated systems to grasp. The sustainability of media in the future will not be measured by the number of followers an algorithm provides, but by the weight of trust that readers place in an authentic and independent identity and thought. This is the final fortress in dealing with a world where the truth is questioned every second.